Welcome to my channel. This is the Diamond Chrysalis, aka Divested Diamonds. This is divestment with purpose, and you have arrived. Greetings and salutations, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for being here today. Please do me a favor and click the like button as you watch this video. Thank you kindly. In today's premiere, we're going to be discussing Married to Medicine's Dr. Jackie and those, very scathing comments against Black women. Let's take a listen.
Now, I'm going to qualify this and be Dr. Heavenly for a minute. Sometimes as African-American women, we're a bit more dramatic in that you go to the doctor and you complain and you complain and you complain and you're not taken serious because you cried wolf the entire pregnancy.
That ain't me, boo. I don't know what you're talking about, but go ahead.
I didn't say you. I just said as African-American women, we want to also make sure you're being serious with your doctor and not playing the game so I can take you off work. Because then we see you 25 times in the pregnancy. It's hard to believe that there's a true problem when there's a true problem.
Now, let me preface by saying that this conversation between her and Dr. Heavenly is old. It went viral a little over 2 months ago. It was on my list of things to do, but as you know, I took an extended break over the holidays and in all fairness, I've been a little wishy-washy with my videos, right? We're gonna fix that. So, as a doctor, Jackie put her personal feelings and thoughts of Black women on Front Street and decided to tell the world about it. Was she right in saying those things? Yes and no. Yes, because she has the right to express herself, and no, because it's unprofessional of her to put such dangerous rhetoric out there. Her comments were not only nonsensical, quite frankly, her comments were diabolical, and she should be ashamed of herself. Black women have been portrayed as masculine, strong, able to carry the world on their shoulders while taking care of everyone, but are never allowed to be exhausted. We are not allowed to complain or even rest because we're expected to do it all. When things happen to us, there's very little empathy from other groups of people, including women who look like us. What she said was not only unprofessional, it was unforgivable and dangerous. Unforgivable because no one in such a position of trust should be spouting such nonsense based on unverified sources, even if the sources could be verified. Is that really something that she should be saying? Why is it necessary for her to other our humanity? Do we not have enough issues to deal with? Sadly, this is her feeling or perception of Black women, and the question is, what's it all based on? That's the question that we need to be asking. Her comments were dangerous because they further reinforce what certain groups of people already think about Black women. Given the fact that doctors are the only people we literally bare our souls to without even getting to know anything about their background, it's unfair for us as patients to afford them blind trust when they themselves are approaching us with these types of preconceived notions. You would hope that someone like Dr. Jackie, who gets to see you in all of your glory, in a state of vulnerability, would carry herself with a little more professionalism while extending a level of discretion and respect towards her patients. Unfortunately, she came off sounding just like the slave-owning, W.S., quote unquote, father of her profession, James Marion Sims, who did experiments on enslaved Black women without anesthesia because he believed Black women to be incapable of feeling pain. Born in Lancaster County, South Carolina in 1813, James Marion Sims entered the medical profession when doctors did not undergo the same rigorous coursework and training that they do today. After interning with a doctor, taking a 3-month course, and studying for a year at Jefferson Medical College, Sims began his practice in Lancaster. He later relocated to Montgomery, Alabama, seeking a fresh start after the demise of his first 2 patients. Like most doctors in the 19th century, Sims originally had little interest in treating female patients and no specific gynecological training. Back then, examining and treating female organs was widely considered offensive and unsavory. Credited as the father of modern gynecology, Sims developed tools and surgical techniques related to women's reproductive health. In 1876, he was named president of the American Gynecological Society, an organization he helped found. The 19th century physician has been lionized with a half a dozen statues around the country. Despite this man's incompetence and lack of knowledge of the female anatomy, he's been celebrated and credited for these gynecological tools that he most likely discovered by accident. It doesn't surprise me one little bit that he was pedestalized to the title of, quote unquote, president for an organization that he himself founded. Because Sims' research was conducted on enslaved Black women without anesthesia, medical ethicists and historians and others say his use of enslaved Black bodies as medical test subjects falls into a long, ethically bereft history that includes the Tuskegee syphilis experiment and Henrietta Lacks, a Black woman who had met her demise from cervical cancer at the age of 31, whose tumor samples had been harvested without her knowledge by scientists at the Johns Hopkins Hospital. Those cells, called HeLa cells, quickly became invaluable to medical research. Let it be known that they had been trying to grow tissue culture for decades without success, but her cells never died. Henrietta's cells were the first immortal human cells ever grown in culture. They were essential for developing the polio vaccine. They went up in the first space missions to see what would happen to cells in zero gravity. Many scientific landmarks since then have used her cells, including cloning, gene mapping, and in vitro fertilization, as well as chemotherapy, among other things. Now, let's circle back to the so-called father of gynecology. While some doctors didn't trust anesthesia, Sims' decision to not use it or any other numbing technique was based on his misguided belief that Black people didn't experience pain like white people did. It's a notion that continues to persist today, according to a study conducted at the University of Virginia and published in the April 4, 2016 proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. I'll leave the link to this study in the description bar below. So, in the 1850s, Sims moved to New York and opened the first ever women's hospital, where he continued testing controversial medical treatments on his patients. When any of his patients met their demise, the blame, according to him, lay squarely with, quote, the sloth and ignorance of their mothers and the Black midwives who attended them, end quote. He did not believe there was anything wrong with his methods. And while spending most of his career experimenting on Black women with no anesthesia, he reserved the use of it for white women whom he believed to be more delicate and more susceptible to pain compared to Black enslaved women. So, with everything you've just heard here, should Dr. Jackie be forgiven for her comments? It's really a shame that a Black woman in her position would take on the ideas of a known slave-owning WS. Is it possible that her anger or lack of empathy is misplaced? I mean, she is incapable of having children, so could there be an element of jealousy towards women who can? This came up a lot in most comment sections where some women felt that her lack of empathy was most likely attributed to the fact that she's never given birth, therefore is unable to understand what pregnant women have to go through. My question is, why did she pick gynecology of all professions? Of all the branches of medicine, why pick gynecology? Did she think or feel that this was a way for her to heal while helping other women? And perhaps realized how torturous it was after being in such an environment? Surely she should have known that dealing with women in this position, pregnant women at that would be an issue for her. She chose an environment that highlighted what she wanted but couldn't have. And of course, after the backlash, she apologized and claimed her comments were taken out of context. Her comments were pretty clear. Nothing, as far as I'm concerned, was taken out of context.
Happy holidays to you and yours. I'm taking a much needed pause to address comments that I made during a 2020 live interview with one of my castmates. First and most importantly, to Black women and mothers, including your friends, families, and the medical community who cares for you. Because my words left you hurt and feeling unsupported, I want you to know I hear you, I see you, I believe you, and I apologize from the bottom of my heart. I am brokenhearted over this. The guilt and reality that I have hurt and offended people, especially Black women, and some of my own patients, pains me to my core. As I look back over the 2-hour video again and again, I admit that I used the wrong words and descriptions to properly convey my concerns regarding maternal mortality related to women of color. But the fact is, we must do more because we are still dying more. If I could say it all over again, here's how I'd say it. When experiencing a health matter, keep a log of your concerns and symptoms so that you can provide them accurately to your physician. Have a buddy system, someone who can advocate for you when you're with a physician, especially when pregnant. Know that a second and third opinion is not just sometimes warranted, but necessary. I thank you for taking out time from your holiday to tune into my apology and my self-dedication to Black women and healthcare. I've been shaken and moved to be better.
You know, we're often encouraged or told to support Black women or Black businesses. Under the right circumstances, that would be the natural thing to do, right? Support your own. All other ethnicities do it because they understand the importance of togetherness, unity, and growth. There's a weakness. Black people have a weakness that's always existed. It boggles the mind. It's always baffled me. Is it something in our genetic makeup that causes us to be this way? I don't know. Because no matter where you go, we literally have the same issue. This always seems to happen, regardless of your geographical location. Now, let's take it even further. The reason most Black women aren't able to get along is both complicated and simple at the same time. We've been indoctrinated into believing that we're not good enough based on race, ethnicity, and gender. There's always something. You're too dark. You think you're better because you're light. This is why you're single. No man's gonna want someone like you. You're too fat. You're too ghetto. You're unattractive. You're too educated. Your degree means nothing. You wear too much makeup. Take off those nails, lashes, weave, wig. You're never going to amount to anything. These microaggressions do add up over time and eventually become embedded in one's life. I mean, we could do this all day. And the sad thing is, when you add a man to the mix, some women will claw your eyes out just to get to him. The reason we keep finding ourselves at the bottom in a lot of these cases is because we dislike one another as a group. We are incapable of working together in harmony. And part of the reason is because of the unresolved trauma that a lot of Black women carry. In a lot of cases, that trauma is the driving force in a lot of Black women's existence. When you operate from a place of brokenness, you are operating on fumes, and nothing good could ever come out of that. When I look at Dr. Jackie, I see someone whose internal feelings have been brewing and can now be seen spilling over into real life. This woman went out of her way to expose another woman's infertility, Buffy's infertility, without her permission. And when confronted about it during dinner, this was her reaction. Let's take a listen.
Buffy, I receive, I apologize, done with. Let's have dinner.
Jackie! Ooh, that is not the Jackie.
You know it. There's a new girl about to surface.
Whoa!
You just met her.
Damn, who's this? Like, what is she gonna do to us?
You notice Curtis didn't say not a goddamn thing.
Maybe he already knows Jackie. We just getting introduced.
Exactly.
I've apologized to Buffy
And I received it and I accepted it.
and don't have to worry about me saying much more.
That's fine. I'm disappointed in the way you're reacting.
Don't be. Let that be the last thing you say to me tonight.
That's fine.
This isn't the Jackie that I know. I don't feel that she's showing any compassion, and it's very disappointing.
I think that Jackie is upset that she was put on blast.
Absolutely.
When I look at Dr. Jackie, I see a mean girl who's bitter about something. She may seem composed, but she's very closed off and calculated. She comes off as pleasant, but I know her type. Nice, nasty, arrogant, perpetual victim, no true accountability, etc. And yes, I'm judging. Look, we may not know these people personally, but there's a lot of truth to their on-screen persona. You can't blame everything on editing when a lot of their behavior is repetitive. There's something about her nastiness that seems authentic to me. And look, maybe this has nothing to do with her potential jealousy towards women who are able to have children. Maybe she's just not a nice person, period. And perhaps being in such an environment just amplifies who she really is. The truth of the matter is, Buffy's condition was nobody's business. It wasn't Dr. Jackie's business to stand there and talk to everybody about Buffy's condition. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not shaming this woman for being unable to have children. I would never do that to another woman. However, her behavior is absolutely unacceptable. And I understand that maybe this is something that she can't help, but for goodness sake, control yourself, woman. The issue here is that she chose a career that involves something that's close to her heart. But while in that position, she appears to be using her anger to lash out at women who have nothing to do with her condition. The sad thing is, she chose this career, but still found it within herself to denigrate other women by using problematic, dangerous, and racist rhetoric. Do we really need people like Dr. Jackie taking care of us at our most vulnerable? No. And this has nothing to do with not being able to support another Black woman. This is about not being able to placate this woman or women like her by enabling problematic behavior that could potentially lead to loss of life. This is not a game. The issue with a lot of us as Black women is that we still haven't learned how to detach ourselves from those who taint the waters. We think that everyone can be saved, and that's simply not true. And so what happens is we put up with abuse simply because these people look like us. You can't bathe in dirty water and expect to be clean. Some people just need to be exposed and shunned. If this is too much for her to the point where it's causing her stress or other negative feelings that will perpetually lead her to offering mediocre treatment to her patients, perhaps her license should be revoked. Yes, it's that serious. We need to stop trying to mend other people by giving them more opportunities to continue hurting us. Her job is to be kind, listen to her patients, and offer solutions to their problems. Now, I don't doubt that there are certain doctors who have unsavory things to say about their patients. I'm sure it happens a lot behind our backs. My thing is this. One thing I do know for sure is that dealing with people is not an easy task. With that said, diplomacy and discretion are very important. And this is why we will always be in such predicaments. If Black women want real change, they have to learn to eliminate the source of these issues. Some people are simply irredeemable, and there's nothing you can do about that. Until they learn to help themselves, we cannot allow ourselves to be manipulated or used as guinea pigs for their abuse, enjoyment, or trauma. We have to be responsible for ourselves by recognizing when we require quality help and from whom. Stay away from people who use you as bait to make themselves feel better about their unresolved brokenness. As far as her apology goes, it reeked of desperation. Now that she's been outed as an unempathetic doctor, her practice will always be at risk of losing patients. I believe she only apologized to save face, to protect her bottom line. I think that sometimes people forget who really pays their bills in order to provide them with their chosen lifestyle. No patients, no money. No one wants to give money to someone they don't trust. We pay far too much money in healthcare premiums in this country to have, quote unquote, professionals belittle us by glossing over our problems. Some of Dr. Jackie's patients spoke up about her incompetence and lack of compassion, and it was very telling. This woman does not love her career. It's all about status and making a name for herself. I'm sure the money is great, but the passion is lacking here. There's so much to talk about in regards to Dr. Jackie. However, I'll leave this part of the video here. I've had to split it into two parts because I don't want it to be too long.
And that you go to the doctor and you complain and you complain and you complain, and you're not taken serious because you cried wolf the entire pregnancy.
That ain't me, boo. I don't know what you're talking about, but go ahead.
In the second part of the video, we shall take a deeper look at some of the comments that Black women left on a particular video concerning this matter. I will be addressing a Dusty who stopped by in the comments section of said video. Nakers be naking. Dusties be dusting. He stopped by, not for the purpose of offering solutions on this subject matter. Oh no, what he did was make fun of Black women by making this entire situation about himself. We'll talk about that and more in part 2. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day or night. Love and light to you all, and take care. I'll see you in part 2.